cupcake was designed by the pastry studio. I love how this cupcake looks with the pearls in the center. And even though I have made this flower many times, I love how they mix the pearls and did a center that is a little bit different. So I asked them if I could teach you how to do this cupcake, and they said yes. So let's get started. Here we have the materials we're going to be using for this cupcake. I will talk more about them as I use them. I love the center of the flower because it has different sizes of pearls. So I decided to use some sugar crystals, nonpareils, and pearls. And you can use different sizes of pearls. I just had only one size, so for now this is it. But you can add bigger pearls too. Just added the same amount of each of them and mixed them well so I could use them in my centers. I am using gum paste for the center of my flower, but you can use fondant with a little bit of Tylose added to it. The size of the center will change depending on the cutter you use. I will be using the two biggest cutters of this set of cutters from PME that I have available in my website. If you already own a set of these cutters, make sure that they measure between 2.5 to 3 inches. You want to make sure that you roll your ball of gum paste smoothly and then slightly flatten it. This is around half an inch in diameter, and you don't want to make it too big because when you add your pearls, it's going to add to it, so it's going to make it bigger. So you can test it and see how it looks with your cutters and then proceed to do all of them with the same size. I am using some Tylose gum glue to put all around my gum paste. I have a tutorial that explains how to make the Tylose glue, or you can use your favorite gum glue. I do like to use the Tylose glue because I can control the thickness of it, and for this I like it on the thicker side. Earlier, I placed a toothpick in the back of my center. I do this because it's just easier to dip the center in the pearls. After you dip your center, make sure all the pearls are really nicely attached, and if you have empty spots, you can add more pearls to it. Just add a little bit of more glue and add more pearls. Once you're done with this, you can place the toothpick in a styrofoam and let it dry. I will be using styrofoam flower formers. I like this because they have different shapes and you can use them for different flowers. I covered them in aluminum foil because this way you can move the flower with the aluminum foil and put them in another place and use the styrofoam for the next flower. Also, the aluminum foil helps you shape the flower even more because you can move it easier. I am using gum paste with Americolor Neon Pink. A tiny dot will give you a baby pink color. Here is my gum paste, and you want to make sure it's nice and softened, so knead it well. Then with your rolling pin, you want to get it started and roll it thin. I like to use a pasta machine because I like my flowers to be thin. I usually go to a number 7 for my flowers when I use my pasta machine. So here is how it looks. You can see how thin it is. This is how you want it to be because it looks more delicate. So here are the cutters I'm going to be using. This is a set of 3 cutters that come together, and I'm using the 2 bigger ones. You want to place your cutter and you want to wiggle it so it cuts really well. And then what I do is I pull my gum paste to make sure it cuts all around. Once you do that, you want to pass your finger all around and make sure you don't have any jagged edges. You're going to cut one of the bigger one and one of the smaller one. Don't miss the step of cleaning your edges. This is very important. You want to place the flowers you cut under plastic. This helps for the flowers not to dry. I am starting with the small flower. I'm going to be using the Wilton thin foam, and I'm going to place my flower on top of it. If you don't have a thin foam, you can use a Cel foam from Cel Company, whichever you prefer or you already have. Use a ball tool to thin all the edges of the flower. Make sure that the ball tool goes halfway inside the gum paste and halfway out. All you're trying to do is thin your edges. We always do this on the back of the flower, and now we're gonna flip it and place it on top of a thicker foam. and we lightly are gonna roll the ball tool in the center of the petal. Next, you want to take the styrofoam with the foil and place your flower in there. You can use the ball tool to lightly push it inside there and move the petals. Here, I'm cutting some pieces of paper towel, kitchen paper towel. It doesn't matter which brand. You just want to use these little squares I'm cutting to lift the petals and shape your flower. Place the square on the left side of each petal. This will give movement to the flower. Once you put all the papers, this is how it should look. I'm putting glue in the back of my center and just making sure to put enough so it glues well to the flower. Now all you have to do is place a toothpick through the center of the flower and make sure it glues well to the gum paste. You can take the toothpick out, or if not, you can place the styrofoam on top of maybe a rag or even a plastic cup. For the second layer of the flower, you're going to do exactly the same thing. You're going to place your flower on top of the thin foam. I'm working on the back of it. I'm going to use my ball tool and going to go around it, making sure half of the ball is inside the gum paste and half of it outside. I love this ball tool because it's thin, it's the right size, not too big, not too small, and it's lightweight. And it has two sides that you can use for the gum paste. Go all around the flower. All you're trying to do is making sure that your sides are thin. If the ball tool shows too much, your gum paste might be too thick, so make sure it's thin. Now flip the flower, and I'm working now on the front part of my flower. Once again, you're going to take the ball tool and go lightly around each petal, cupping them. Make sure not to press too hard. You don't want an indentation, you just want to slightly cup the petal. As you do this, you want to place the flower in a bigger flower former. Now in here, you will add the paper towels just like you did on the smaller flower. Let this dry a little bit, maybe an hour or so. What I'm looking for is for a flower that is a little bit dry, but still I can move the petals and shape them. The amount of time you let it dry will depend on how humid it is in your area, how fast or slow things dry for you, and even how you like it. Now it's time to move the smaller flower on top of the bigger flower. And as you can see, the flower is not fully dry, and this is what I want, so I can move the petals the way I like them. You can see that the top petals are in between two of the petals from the bottom. That's the best way to layer your flowers. I am putting the papers all in the left side of the petals. That way I can have a spiral going all around my flower. I like my petals to be some of them higher, some of them lower, so I sometimes take a piece of paper and fold it in half just to make sure I have some separation between the petals. You want to let the flower dry fully before putting into a cupcake, but you can check if the shape of your flower is good. Let it dry for a couple of hours and move the papers and see if the flower is looking nice or if you want to change some of the shape. As you can see, I can lift the foil, let the flower dry fully like this overnight, and use the styrofoam for my next flower. If you want to learn how to make swirls on top of cupcakes, I have a tutorial on how to do them. I wasn't trying to be perfect in here because I was gonna put the flower on top, so this one doesn't have to be perfect, but I just wanted to show you how pretty this cupcake looks. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and remember, for more tutorials, visit my website, Design Me a Cake. All the links will be posted in the comment box below. Don't forget to subscribe. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Until next time, ta-ta!